Hello, my friend. Today we learn English through a powerful and emotional story called Her Secret Window. This story takes us into a quiet world where silence speaks louder than words, and one mysterious window becomes the key to healing, discovery, and truth. You'll feel the breeze behind the curtains, the weight of secrets hidden in a room, and the strength of a voice that had been silent for years. Let's begin this unforgettable journey. In a quiet little town, tucked between rolling hills and silent rivers, there was an old white house at the very end of Maple Lane. The house looked forgotten by time, its paint chipped, its garden overgrown, its wooden porch creaking with every step. But inside that house, behind a locked door on the second floor, there was something strange, something magical. A window. Not just any window. This one held a secret, and it belonged to a 12-year-old girl named Elara. Elara was a quiet soul, the kind of girl who slipped through crowds like a shadow. She had soft brown eyes, long hair that she often used to hide her face, and a voice that hadn't been heard since the day her parents disappeared in a terrible storm 5 years ago. Nobody truly knew what happened that night. Her parents had gone out during the thunder, and they never came back. Some said they were lost in the woods. Others whispered darker stories. But Elara never spoke of it. In fact, Elara never spoke at all. The doctors called it selective mutism. Her neighbors called it heartbreak. But Elara called it silence. And she kept it like a secret she couldn't let go. Elara lived with her grandmother, a kind woman with silver hair and warm eyes. Every morning, her grandmother left her a note with sweet words and reminders, and Elara followed them exactly. After breakfast, she would climb the stairs to the old room at the top of the house. That's where the window waited. Tall, wide, hidden behind heavy velvet curtains. No one else knew what Elara saw through it. Not even her grandmother. Because through that glass, Elara saw a world that no one else could see. The moment she pulled back the curtain, everything changed. The sky turned violet. The trees danced like they were alive. Birds flew in impossible directions, leaving trails of sparkling gold in their wake. And sometimes, just sometimes, Elara could see shadows moving through the garden, whispering, waving, calling. She never told anyone. How could she? One cold morning, as thunder rumbled in the distance and clouds filled the sky like smoke, Elara saw something new. A boy, standing beneath the tallest tree in the backyard, staring directly up at her window. His hair was dark, his eyes were calm. He didn't wave, he didn't smile, he just watched her. Elara stepped back in fear, her heart racing. She closed the curtain and pressed her back against the wall. Who was he? How did he get there? But the next day he returned, and the day after that. Always the same time, always the same place. He never moved, never blinked, but he was always watching. Elara began to draw him in her notebook. She didn't know why. Maybe she wanted to remember him. Or maybe she wanted to understand him. His face appeared again and again. His eyes, his coat, the strange peace that seemed to follow him. Something about him felt familiar, like a dream she once had but couldn't remember. Weeks passed. The boy never missed a day. And slowly, Elara stopped feeling afraid. One evening, the rain crashed against the windows like stones. Lightning cracked across the sky. Wind howled like a scream. Elara sat in the dark room, staring at the boy under the tree. But then, he was gone. Just like that. vanished into the storm. She waited for hours. Nothing. The next morning and the next, he still did not return. That night, she had a dream. In the dream, the boy stood in her room. He said nothing. He only pointed to the window, then placed his finger over his lips, like a secret. When she woke, her notebook was open beside her. A single sentence had been written in her own handwriting, but she didn't remember writing it. It said, "He's waiting for you to speak." Elara stared at the words until her eyes burned with tears. Could it be true? She stood before the window, trembling. Her voice felt stuck, heavy in her throat. But she opened her lips and whispered one word. "Hello." At first nothing happened. The sky stayed the same. The wind was still. But then, the colors outside shifted. The trees moved. The birds sang, and the boy returned. He smiled, and Elara smiled back. From that moment, she began to speak again. One word a day. Just one. Each day, her voice grew stronger. Each day, the boy came closer to the house. She would whisper words like why, or who, or wait, and the boy would nod, as if he understood every single one. Her grandmother noticed. She played music again. She hummed while she cooked. The house, once filled with silence, began to breathe. But not everyone was happy. At school, a girl named Tessa began to follow Elara. Tessa didn't like what she didn't understand. One afternoon, she cornered Elara outside the old White House. "Why do you always look at that dusty window?" She mocked. "Are you talking to ghosts?" Elara stayed silent. Tessa pushed past her and ran up the steps into the house. Elara chased her, heart pounding like thunder in her ears. "Stop!" Elara screamed. Tessa froze. "Did you just speak?" "Don't touch the window," Elara warned. But it was too late. Tessa pulled back the curtain. Her hand touched the glass. The room went dark. The air turned cold. Shadows filled the space like smoke. And then, Tessa screamed. Elara grabbed her and pulled her away. The window slammed shut behind them. The shadows disappeared. Tessa ran out of the house, never saying another word. Elara stood there, breathing hard. Her legs shook, her hands trembled. But inside her chest, something felt strong. That night she asked the boy a question. "What are you?" He stepped closer, his face now clear. "I'm what you lost," he said gently. Tears filled her eyes. "My parents?" The boy nodded. "Not just them. You lost your voice, your hope, yourself." Elara whispered, "Can I find myself again?" He smiled. "Only if you stop hiding." The next day, she raised her hand in class. Her teacher nearly dropped the chalk when she spoke. Her classmates stared, wide-eyed. Elara didn't stop. She read a poem. She told a story. She shared her thoughts. Her voice, once buried in silence, now soared. That night, she returned to her room. The window was gone. Only a blank wall remained. Elara touched it gently. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She smiled. Because now she understood. The window wasn't magic. It wasn't glass. It was her. She had created it. She had filled it with hope, mystery, imagination, and healing. It had been the doorway to her own strength. Years passed. Elara grew older. She became a writer, a teacher, a storyteller. She traveled the world and shared her journey with thousands. But in every story she told, there was always a window, a girl, and a boy who watched and waited until the silence broke. She never saw the window again. But late at night, when the wind brushed the trees and the moonlight painted shadows on her wall, she could still feel it, just beyond the surface, waiting. And sometimes, just sometimes, she would whisper to it, "Thank you," because Elara didn't need the window anymore. She had become one.